Good evening. I am Miriam Abdulkawi, and here's what's ahead for you on 7 News tonight. Finally, an arrest in the case of the Big Creek vessel with 55,000 gallons of contraband diesel fuel. We'll have the latest. And a ruthless triple murder on San Pedro. Police say it's the drug gangs at war. Plus, a 15-year-old knocked down and killed in Ladyville. Also, young women in leadership take over Parliament for some fresh faces with fresh perspectives. We'll take you there. And we'll ask the Attorney General about those flimsy birth certificates printed on typing sheets. These stories and much more are ahead on 7 News tonight, so please stay tuned.
Please, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Over the past 5 years, Digi has invested more than $17 million to revolutionize Belize's digital future. Our advanced 4G LTE network and expanded fiber infrastructure have empowered vital road arteries, connected the farthest valleys and fertile farmlands, linked the bustling cities to the remote keys, and brought cutting-edge connectivity to schools, businesses, healthcare centers, and tourist destinations, fueling economic growth, enhancing education, and strengthening communities across the nation. By choosing Digi, you're leading Belize's digital transformation, bridging distances, opening opportunities, and empowering every corner of our beautiful country. Connect with Digi. Empower Belize.
Compulsorily acquire Stake Bank Island.
But they're acquiring it for a private company.
The government has colluded with a bank to seize from a private owner.
No, the state is stealing his land.
This government used its power to take land from a Belizean developer to give to a foreign company.
And those are things that the U.S. government takes really seriously.
Washington noticed. They've been watching. So when the Prime Minister went begging for help,
especially from the United States, we need equipment, we need intelligence.
But Washington's response? The United States invited 12 Central American and Caribbean heads of state to discuss border security. John Briceño was not invited. What does that tell you?
The U.S. is willing to sanction. They're willing to be aggressive and do whatever they can against these individuals who are taking these actions in these countries.
Secretary Rubio have the Department of State assess the current state of rule of law, judicial independence, and property rights protections in Belize.
$4.3 million was paid for legal and professional fees in relation to PetroCaribe. And another $4 million is projected to be spent every year for the next 3 years. $16 million in legal and professional advisory fees. What we done in PetroCaribe in 2016.
The government's blue bond carried another $85 million in transaction costs. That's tens of millions more in legal and advisory fees. So who's collecting?
Show those fees!
Exposed by Freedom of Information requests, the government admitted Courtney Coy LLP was paid $227,000 on just one disclosed contract. How many more are there? So while millions of dollars are being spent, the Prime Minister is begging Washington for help securing our borders.
It is important that we get the necessary assistance, especially from the United States. We need equipment, we need intelligence.
But there's no shortage of millions for legal and advisory services.
Who is getting those legal and professional advisory fees?
It's time to come clean, Mr. Prime Minister.
We have centralized systems of corruption in this government.
At Atlantic Bank, your convenience is our priority. Our contact center is designed to enhance your banking experience. With a wide range of customer service options, you save time and effort. You can easily call in to block or unblock your debit and credit cards, perform account inquiries, and access detailed card information. Whether you need assistance with online banking, merchant support, or general inquiries, Our team is ready to help. For added convenience, if all operators are busy, you can leave your number and an operator will return your call as soon as possible to ensure you receive the support you need. Depending on your transaction type, we may need to verify your identity through a set of security questions. And remember, Atlantic Bank will never request your username or password for Atlantic Online via phone call, text, or email, ensuring your personal information remains safe and secure. Our support team is available Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. in both English and Spanish. Simply dial 223-1212. This is a dedicated line for our contact center. Atlantic Bank is committed to providing you with exceptional service and the tools you need to manage your finances conveniently and securely. Take full advantage of our easy-to-use contact center services today.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
In a democracy, what is good for the government cannot be bad for the people. And what is good for the people cannot be bad for the government.
We came a long way. It's like over 16 years that it was basically like 2-3 houses in that area.
It was wild.
One high bush
like jungle. I want to take my lick. Say no water, no light. I tell her no worry about that. We have figured it out.
You know, you wonder how long it will take for this to happen.
A year ago, you were considered squatters.
We made a picado and we came in. I made a teenager. Everybody said it was swamp, it was swamp. When we get in here, it was like gold.
Today, you're landowners.
Very
this that for we, and we proud of this. Now we're claiming our house on the land.
We have worked so hard to make this happen for us.
This is a beautiful day, folks, because we are taking care of the people who have taken care of us. Because we wouldn't be here today without you.
The roads of Belize connect us all. Riders, drivers, families, friends. Every day begins with a little routine and the confidence that life's journeys are protected. From school drop-off through the daily grind and everything in between, each with different roads ahead, yet one common goal: to arrive safely. Atlantic Insurance stands with Belize's riders and motorists with affordable protection, support, and peace of mind for the journey ahead. For the roads we share and the lives we protect, Atlantic Insurance is by your side, insuring you from life's unexpected. Atlantic Insurance, insuring you from life's unexpected.
Imagine, a ref calls a technical on LeBron, ejects him, then walks to the bench, puts on a jersey, and checks into the game to take LeBron's place. WTH? That's what happened at the central bank. First, Kareem Michael was a deputy governor for financial supervision, basically the referee for the banks. And while he was in charge of that department, Choice Banks' license was cancelled. Not too long after, Mr. Michael resigned from the central bank and went as a paid private contractor to run the shutdown of the same Choice Bank. When he was finished, he simply walked right back into his old job at the central bank. Who does that? An arrogant Belizean public servant who knows all and thinks he's too big for his judgment to be questioned by anyone.
Compulsorily acquire Stake Bank Island.
But they're acquiring it for a private company.
The government has colluded with a bank to seize from a private owner.
No, the state is stealing his land.
This government used its power to take land from a Belizean developer to give to a foreign company.
And those are things that the U.S. government takes really seriously.
Washington noticed. They've been watching. So when the Prime Minister went begging for help,
especially for the United States, we need equipment, we need intelligence.
But Washington's response? The United States invited 12 Central American and Caribbean heads of state to discuss border security. John Briceño was not invited. What does that tell you?
The U.S. is willing to sanction. They're willing to be aggressive and do whatever they can against these individuals who are taking these actions in these countries.
Secretary Rubio have the Department of State assess the current state of rule of law, judicial independence, and property rights protections in Belize.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Finally, tonight, charges have been laid against the captain of the Panamanian vessel that brought 55,000 gallons of contraband diesel fuel into Belizean waters with bogus documents. It was reportedly commissioned by a major local distributor of fuel who ran red lights when he did not get the proper clearance from Customs or the Department of the Environment. Turns out, the fuel cargo wasn't even declared, or at least that's what Customs is alleging tonight. The Attorney General updated us on the case this morning, and we asked him what was the delay. Here's more.
So as it relates to that matter, I got an update from the Customs Department this morning, and so charges should be laid today, and the master should be charged, and if not today, it should be arraigned as soon thereafter. No?
So what is your advice to the Customs and you?
Well, I would not be able to provide that publicly. As you will appreciate, there are persons who obviously have interest in this vessel and the cargo, and so we have to take it incrementally. Charges will be laid. The master will be arraigned, and as it relates to the steps Customs will take, they will certainly seize the vessel and as well make an application thereafter for forfeiture of the vessel and the cargo. There are other agencies that would possibly lay charges, including the Belize Port Authority.
And today in the Independence Magistrates Court, Venezuelan captain of the Humilde Viajero, Carlos Tomas Rivas Rodriguez, 55, was denied bail and remanded to prison. He was deemed a flight risk and was slapped with 2 offenses: failure to provide advance cargo information and recklessly concerned in the fraudulent evasion of the laws and restriction of customs relating to the importation of goods. Rodriguez pleaded not guilty to both charges, and his next court date is set for April 20th of 2026. He appeared with his attorney, Leroy Banner, while the prosecutor was Tracy Sosa, the legal counsel for Customs. It was alleged in the court that the clearance document filed on behalf of the vessel said it was not carrying any cargo, when actually it was found with 53,280 gallons of diesel fuel with a market value of $642,024. And we continue with our top stories tonight. Police have descended on San Pedro to contain any possible retaliation after a triple murder on the island. The target, one of the leaders of the island's notorious drug gangs, who are more or less in a permanent state of warfare. Here's what happened last night in detail.
Today, armed police stood in front of this home at the south end of San Pedro town. It was the scene of a terrifying outburst of violence last night, which claimed 3 lives. 29-year-old Karim Espat, whose wife was the only survivor, she escaped unscathed. 35-year-old homeowner Oscar Modesto Mas, and 21-year-old Yerlin Bueso, a Honduran national. A gunman barged in and used a 12-gauge shotgun to fire on 4 adults at close range.
Information is that all these 3 male persons were in a house at the time when several male persons arrived at the area. One of them entered the house and fired several shots at them, causing their fatal injuries. We have several suspects in custody for this triple murder. Well, found at the scene were 9mm expended shells as well as 12 gauge cartridge shells.
The individuals that police have detained, are they members of a rivaling gang?
That is correct. They're from a rival faction from San Pedro.
No, they were at a location about 1 mile south of the main town. Is this an area they were known to be at, or were they, so to speak, hiding out and then their rivals
Well, that
from
is the
them?
residence of Modest Thomas, and the others were there staying.
Okay, so do you believe that Mr. Espat was the target? We know he has faced multiple charges.
That is the information we have. He was the intended target.
What is the motive at this time? What have you been able to
This is
find out?
ongoing rival with the two groups in San Pedro over drugs.
A rivalry that has claimed more than a dozen lives over the years, including at least 2 small children.
Now, we know there has been intense rivalry in the drug gangs of San Pedro for many years, involving a lot of the same names. Explain to me, is there something that may have prompted this latest attack? Were they beefing over some active wet drop, or is it just ongoing rivalry?
We do not know at this time. I know we have several incidents involving them at San Pedro, and it calms down, and then they come back and these shootings happen.
Now, with 3 dead, police have been forced to send additional personnel to the island to contain any retaliation, which could bring another wave of violence.
We have deployed our major crimes team as well as additional personnel have been sent to San Pedro to prevent any form of retaliation. So the investigation continues today, and we have several suspects in custody for this shooting. Well, there is also a threat of retaliation, so we will deploy personnel to try and prevent any form of retaliation.
Was this Mr. Espat known as leader among a faction in his community?
Well, he has been charged before for various crimes, and he was on bail.
And we'll let you know when any of the detainees are charged. And there is a 4th murder to report tonight. Police in the Orange Walk district are investigating the fatal shooting of a 24-year-old construction worker, Albertito Pot, that occurred early this morning in San Pablo Village. He was attacked around 6 a.m. and succumbed a few hours later. ACP Romero told us what police know so far.
Information is that Pot was at the area at the time along with another male person when somebody jumped the fence and fired several shots, causing his fatal injuries. Investigation into this matter continues.
I believe Mr. Pot was known to the police.
Yes, that is correct.
What was he involved in, as far as you all know?
Well, we did some investigations where he was brought in for questioning.
In relation to
our shooting scene.
Police recovered 6 expended shells at the scene. And we take our first break now, but when we come back, big problems at the northern border. Containers can't come across from Mexico to Belize, and the cartels are holding them back. We'll explain. And we'll talk to the Attorney General about those flimsy birth certificates printed on typing sheets. Stay tuned for more news.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Smart for everybody. Smart leading everything. Smart give you everything. Smart offer everything. Smart give you everything. North to the east and the south and the west. Smart are the best. Call it. Double up my data and give me all the text. In fact, give me a plan for my family. Unlimited calls, so me like it. And Smart make everybody feel happy. Bringing people together, me want it now. Smart got love for everybody. Me want my Smart plan. Want it right now. Me want my want my smartphone, internet in my hand. Call me, want my smart plan. Want it right now. Smart. Stay connected. Stay happy.
Compulsorily acquire Stake Bank Island.
But they're acquiring it for a private company.
The government has colluded with a bank to seize from a private owner.
No, the state is stealing his land.
This government used its power to take land from a Belizean developer to give to a foreign company.
And those are things that the U.S. government takes really seriously.
Washington noticed. They've been watching. So when the Prime Minister went begging for help,
Especially for the United States, we need equipment, we need intelligence.
But Washington's response? The United States invited 12 Central American and Caribbean heads of state to discuss border security. John Briceño was not invited. What does that tell you?
The U.S. is willing to sanction. They're willing to be aggressive and do whatever they can against these individuals who are taking these actions in these countries.
Secretary Rubio have the Department of State assess the current state of rule of law, judicial independence, and property rights protections in Belize.
Imagine, a ref calls a technical on LeBron, ejects him, then walks to the bench, puts on a jersey, and checks into the game to take LeBron's place. WTH? That's what happened at the central bank. First, Kareem Michael was a deputy governor for financial supervision, basically the referee for the banks. And while he was in charge of that department, Choice Banks' license was cancelled. Not too long after, Mr. Michael resigned from the central bank and went as a paid private contractor to run the shutdown of the same Choice Bank. When he was finished, he simply walked right back into his old job at the central bank. Who does that? An arrogant Belizean public servant who knows all and thinks he's too big for his judgment to be questioned by anyone.
$4.3 million was paid for legal and professional fees in relation to PetroCaribe. And another $4 million is projected to be spent every year for the next 3 years. $16 million in legal and professional advisory fees. What we done with PetroCaribe in 2016.
The government's blue bond carried another $85 million in transaction costs. That's tens of millions more in legal and advisory fees. So who's collecting?
Show those fees!
Exposed by Freedom of Information requests, the government admitted Courtney Coy LLP was paid $227,000 on just one disclosed contract. How many more are there? So while millions of dollars are being spent, the Prime Minister is begging Washington for help securing our borders.
It is important that we get the necessary assistance, especially for the United States. We need equipment, we need intelligence.
But there's no shortage of millions for legal and advisory services.
Who is getting those legal and professional advisory fees?
It's time to come clean, Mr. Prime Minister.
We have centralized systems of corruption in this government.
I'm Randall Friesen and I manage Westbell Produce, better known as Granny's Foods. That's our main brand. So we offer high quality grains, beans, rice, and we also offer corn chips made from 100% locally grown corn. We saw a need for high quality locally produced products. A lot of the best products are being exported, and we said, we need to keep some of the best products here in Belize rather than export everything. Atlantic Bank has helped us achieve our goals by providing the financing for us to be able to launch products faster than we would without the financing that they offer. We find that Atlantic Bank is very customer friendly, especially with small and medium-sized businesses. We find that Atlantic Bank is more than willing to go the extra mile. They try to understand your business. So when we go to Atlantic Bank with a certain need, we find that they try to develop a solution that will meet our specific need. I would encourage any small business owner to go to Atlantic Bank for their financial services. They're very friendly. and just overall, their service is excellent.
Electricity is essential for everyday life, but behind every outlet, a lot is happening to bring you safe, reliable, and sustainable energy. Let's start at the beginning. Independent power producers across Belize generate electricity using a mix of renewable and non-renewable resources. Electricity travels across a network of high-voltage transmission lines capable of transmitting electricity across long distances. Electricity then reaches your nearest substation, where it is adjusted to a lower voltage, making it safe to travel on the distribution lines you see in your community. From there, electricity makes its final journey from the distribution lines to your home, providing you with safe and reliable power when you need it. We continue to serve you.
Compulsorily acquire Stake Bank Island.
But they're acquiring it for a private company.
The government has colluded with a bank to seize from a private owner.
No, the state is stealing his land.
This government used its power to take land from a Belizean developer to give to a foreign company.
And those are things that the U.S. government takes really seriously.
Washington noticed. They've been watching. So when the Prime Minister went begging for help,
Especially for the United States, we need equipment, we need intelligence.
But Washington's response? The United States invited 12 Central American and Caribbean heads of state to discuss border security. John Briceño was not invited. What does that tell you?
The U.S. is willing to sanction. They're willing to be aggressive and do whatever they can against these individuals who are taking these actions in these countries.
Secretary Rubio have the Department of State assess the current state of rule of law, judicial independence, and property rights protections in Belize.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
And continuing with our top stories tonight, yesterday evening we reported on a fatal road traffic accident in Ladyville. Turns out the victim was only 15 years old, and today we went to the village to find out more about the victim. He is 15-year-old Alex Griffith, who was knocked down while heading home. Our very own Delisa Roberts looked deeper into this story and filed this report.
This is where 15-year-old Alex Griffith was run over by an Art Tillot's bus. The second former was northbound when the police say he fell in the bus's path.
Information is that this person was riding a bicycle. When he lost control, he fell on the street and he was run over by a Tillot bus being driven by Jonathan Eck. He was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead on arrival. An investigation is being carried out into this fatal accident.
But his friend Sincere says that Alex Griffith was an experienced and careful rider.
I doubt that will happen because as long as I know Alex, he's a very careful rider, and I know for a fact the man he know to take care of himself. So I don't really think that happened. I think that the bus probably hit him, and then at the same time it dropped, and then that part. Then same time the back wheel of the bus probably will mush over his head. I doubt the whole Alex slip off for that because Alex right on a harder street than the street at the front. So
Alex had recently taken a break from school, and while police have impounded the bus, police are still unsure if charges will be levied upon the driver.
Will the driver be charged since he literally fell in a part of the bus?
Thorough investigation will be conducted. The file will be sent to the DPP. Then we will await the directives. Full investigation will be carried out.
But whatever the investigation finds, it's no consolation for his friends.
When me I miss about time because I miss the whole in any certain thing. He always like one thing that happened with me. He always there to give me advice, tell me things and give me his point of view of whole thing that happened. And then I also miss a complaint, miss that whole every single time we used to talk. He used to always find a way to make me laugh. I always find a way, and no matter how bad we did to go, he always find a way to put a smile on our face.
Delisa Roberts, 7 News.
No one has been charged as yet. Meanwhile, tonight, in other news, 513 people are wondering what happened with their $100 raffle ticket, where they took a chance to win a Toyota Hilux, but the draw was never held. Back in August, the Sub Umbra Florio Lions Club began advertising their first ever truck raffle. At $100 a ticket, the lucky winner would get a 2026 Toyota Hilux. Well, the money would go to help families battling childhood cancer. The original draw date for the raffle was set for December 31st. Well, today is March 20th, and that raffle has still not been drawn. And the hundreds who bought tickets are wondering what will happen with their money and whether this raffle was legit or a scam. Well, according to the Secretary of Gaming and Lotteries Commission, Lewin Samuels, the club wrote to them asking for an extension to March 7th, which was granted on February 19th. March 7th came and still there was no draw. Information to us is that the club was unable to meet the threshold for the number of tickets bought and therefore canceled the raffle. They then wrote to the commission again on March 13th, informing them of this and letting them know that they will be reimbursing those that bought tickets. And according to the secretary of the commission, the process to do so includes providing a list of names and contact numbers for those that bought tickets and an announcement to the general public. They must also inform the commission of the method of reimbursement and notify them after it is done, which Samuels told us the club promised to do within 30 days. And while that is all good and well, where's the truck that was supposed to be raffled? That's a question. Well, this is June 2025, and the letter shows that there was correspondence between the club and Belize Diesel and Equipment Company Limited. The club was required to put down $20,000 as a down payment, and the company says that while they did have a conversation with the club about it, there was no formal agreement, no down payment made, and well, no truck. According to Pai Marin, the owner of the company, they only provided a pro forma invoice and nothing else. There was no follow-up from the Lions Club after that either. So, while the Belize Diesel logo was present on the flyer and the raffle ticket, they did not have any involvement with or any knowledge of this raffle. And so, at this point, all we can do is advise you that if you bought tickets for this raffle, keep an eye out for a public notice from the club that should detail when and how you will get reimbursed. And while that's the foreground, in the background to all this is a mighty dispute with the club and a police report made yesterday by the members against the president for alleged fraud. No one could confirm to us whether the $50,000+ collected in proceeds from the sale of the raffle is safely in the club's bank account. And now turning our attention back to one of our top stories. When they digitized the Civil Registry and Statistics Unit last December, one of their main aims was to reduce the long lines and waiting period for a document. But the public did not take into consideration that there would be changes as well to the nature of the physical documents, like a standard birth certificate. Instead of a fenced paper with an embossed seal, applicants are now given a flimsy typing sheet with a QR code to scan. With that code, they can print the certificate on any type of paper or reproduce it anywhere. But progress does bring problems, and some have questioned the authenticity of the document. Well, the Attorney General addressed those concerns today, and he says that they are working on it. Here's more.
Some of my colleagues as well have suggested and recommended that we look into that, and so indeed I just had a meeting with the registrar and the Solicitor General this week in terms of looking at that and moving forward, how we can address that, because in our in our stream of consciousness as Belizeans, we're used to having a more sturdy paper, something more glossy, something that looks more looks different, and than what presently obtains. Now, the whole purpose of digitizing was to allow persons to have more easy access, and as well, as I had mentioned back in December, is to reduce the need for you to purchase more than one birth certificate. So once you had an electronic copy, you could print it on any paper. So you yourself, you could actually print it on a more sturdy and more glossy paper if you wish, because what established the authenticity of the certificate is the QR code, and so. But again, suffice it to say that is a real concern, and it is something that we're looking at. And as I was reminded by one of my colleagues, we have to take into consideration what our people tell us, and so we made this step, we made this adjustment to try to allow for a more greater efficient access of the service, but there are certain realities that we have to take into consideration, and so. Short answer to your question, we're looking into that.
We also asked the Attorney General about the recent judgment from the High Court. It addressed the July 2024 detention of a 13-year-old boy under a state emergency. Well, on March 2nd, Justice Marsha Alexander found the detention violated the child's constitutional rights. So, is it a teachable moment for the state on how it handles children in detention? Well, the Attorney General discussed it with us further.
The state has this very difficult and very invidious responsibility of law and order and balancing the need to ensure that persons who commit crimes, that they are detained, that a proper investigation is conducted, and where investigation leads, charges are led. As it relates to that specific incident, there was credible information in the possession of the police that the minor was involved in the commission of a very, very serious offense. Steps were taken with respect to address him being charged. It so happened that you had the state of emergency at that time, but what the court judgment certainly indicate, and as we know that there are certain mechanisms need to be in place to ensure that a young person, that when they are taken in the criminal justice system, that as far as possible that they're insulated and that they are not, it doesn't become more corrosive for them, and they're placed with adults and things of that nature. One of the shortcomings of the state at the time is that we didn't provide, or we did not adhere to what the Constitution had set out with respect to having a tribunal be established within a period of time, and as well that it should have been provided facilities and mechanism for an attorney or a parent. So those are things which, as you will appreciate, the Commissioner of Police, the Attorney General, we do not do those things. So we rely on our agents, on our officers to ensure that they follow the law.
Meanwhile, in other news, the Belize communication workers for justice have been clamoring for their retroactive interest on their severance going back to their date of termination. We asked the Auditor General for his opinion on their demands and whether or not they are eligible to receive such payment.
So I regret I will not be able to offer publicly a legal opinion. So a caution. I mean, we lawyers really shouldn't do that, and a foul person, the Attorney General, should not be publicly offering advice one way or the other. And so I regret I will not be able to comment on that, but suffice it to say the government's position, as articulated by the Prime Minister, is that the former employees, they are entitled to the severance. The issue with respect to the interests, that is something that is still in negotiation with. Our ministry at times provide advice to the Labour Department. The Labour Department may very well be requested to provide guidance, and so it is through that mechanism that our ministry or office would provide input on the matter. But other than that, I will not be able to publicly make any comment.
And now we turn our attention to a story about ASR BSI. For the past 2 nights, we've been reporting on the letter which the Prime Minister sent to the president of the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association, offering his members $1 million in fertilizers if they drop pending litigation against ASR BSI and Tate and Lyle Sugars. That offer was first made in December by the Minister of State and the Ministry of Foreign Trade, Osman Martinez. Well, speaking via Zoom with XTV today, he said that we are missing the bigger picture, that it is not the government who is requesting this settlement. It is, in fact, the farmers. Here's more.
I think that you all haven't got the true picture of it. And the point is that it's not us who invited them into that negotiations. They were the ones who came to us, saying that they wanted to do that. We even have an initial letter that was sent to us by them saying that they were asking for more than that to drop the case. For example, they were asking for additional millions in fertilizer and other little things. But so it's not the government of Belize who has even conditioned it. It was a response based on their request, and we have the letter.
So then,
and they also came to my office. They went to PM office, the chairman of BSCFA, with other members, saying that they want to work with us. They need the fair trade. They believe that they were not going to get it. So for us, it doesn't matter which way or whatever they want to do. We will respect it. We will support them. We are supporting them unprecedented as is. On the budget debate, we will announce a $14 million stimulus plan to the sugar industry. So we at no point has encouraged or discouraged them to do whatever they want. We just responded to a letter. And if you look at the letter, I can share the letter with you that we sent to them, because the letter says, in response to your letter, so and so and so, this is what we can do.
The BSCFA heads into what is expected to be a very divided special general meeting on Sunday to decide on the way forward. And we also asked the Attorney General for his view on the Prime Minister's letter to the Cane Farmers Association. The Attorney General said it hasn't reached his desk yet, but it probably will.
I have no involvement at this time with respect to that, so I would not be able to comment further. But as usually is the case, these things eventually do find their way to the Attorney General's ministry, and so when it does, then I would be in a position to provide that. But regrettably, I can't speak on the matter at this time.
And in other news today, the Young Women in Leadership program held its mock debate at the National Assembly. 60 women from across the country were selected to represent ministers, area representatives, and senators. Similar to the Children's Parliament, which occurs annually, these women were given a motion and they had to develop a speech either in favor or against. Over the course of several weeks, the young women received guidance by other women in leadership and were able to share experiences and develop camaraderie among each other. All of that work culminated today in Belmopan, and our very own Courtney Menzies was there and has this story.
60 young women got the opportunity today to experience what it would be like if they were to join Parliament. It's part of the Young Women in Leadership program, where selected participants act as area reps and debate a motion. For this first session, the motion put forward was to approve the development of temporary special measures to accelerate young women's leadership in public, political, and economic spheres 2026. After the session, we asked two of the participants about their experience and why they chose to apply to be part of the program.
I recognize the Honorable Minister of Human Development, Family Support, and Gender Affairs.
I was so excited to be a part of women who are ambitious, who are going to take up space in leadership roles, and I wanted to be a part of that as well. This is the first cohort, and so this is historical. So I am glad to say that I was a part of that. Meeting the women in leadership in Belize, they have set the pace for transformation, and it was nerve-wracking but inspiring. Janelle Chanona, I'm also Janelle, so that was truly memorable. And the next nerve-wracking part was writing our speech. We knew that this was going to be aired. We all wanted to make an impact, to speak to the women of Belize. And yes, we are representing them here, but this is going to be a program that continues, hopefully. And so I hope that they're inspired to join next year and also make an impact for the future generations.
I recognize the Honorable Member for Albert, the Leader of the Opposition.
It presented as an opportunity for women to learn leadership skills and other opportunities and to engage with other qualified individuals. And so I figured, why not take the opportunity to engage with other women that I feel are powerful, skillful, and already have the ability to lead and learn something from them. I know this is so cliche, but I learned resilience from some women that I spoke with, some that have experienced discrimination in the workplace. And as someone that has had the privilege of not experiencing that, it just brought to the reality that what my experience is should be the reality of every woman. And hearing her story and how she's pushed through in that field and that arena and how she's not let it discourage her was encouraging for me and taught me resilience.
Both of these women come from opposing sides and explain the work that went into crafting their speeches.
My motion was in support of it. I was the mover of the motion. And so with this, I opened up the debate and I gave that way for the other ministers to then give their presentation on how this policy is going to impact their portfolios. So agriculture, health, labor, foreign trade, exports, so many topics are covered because these are all areas and spaces where women are needed for transformational changes in Belize.
I oppose the motion, not in principle, but in implementation. Personally in my area of work, I'm particularly interested in the government making pragmatic decisions that are common sense and that they don't cost the Belizean tax dollars a lot of money. And so in my contribution, I said that they need to do some sort of research. It doesn't have to take a long time. It doesn't have to be expensive, but they need to reach out to all the women that may be disenfranchised because they don't have access to communication and opportunities.
And Belize is the sixth country in this region to become a part of Parlamerica's program. Over the course of several weeks, they have been working with the participants as well as current women in leadership to put on this mock debate. According to the Deputy Director of Program Management, the goal is for young women to see themselves in Parliament.
The program is really designed to support and encourage young women to consider public leadership as a pathway for themselves. There is research that shows that women are much less likely to be asked to participate in Parliament and more likely to not see it as a space that is welcoming for them. So our goal with the program is really to encourage young women leaders to see this as a space where they belong, where they can bring their voices and their perspectives and all of the important things that they have to say, and really provide them with that opportunity then to experience Parliament, to meet with other young women and with women leaders from across the country and across the region to get that support, build knowledge networks and skills that can support them then in this journey, whichever way they seek to pursue it.
And the work put into this first session paid off.
Honestly, when we walked through those doors at the end, I felt very emotional because although it is a mock session, like you said, I was wearing the weight of what the leader of the opposition had to go through to be the first leader of opposition and first female party leader in the country. That is, it shows to her strength, her resilience, her ability to fight through the most difficult battles, even when they're public. And so for me, it reminded me that sometimes if I want to engage in this journey, if I want to ever become involved in politics, I have to be reminded that to be prepared for anything and still push through, because like I said in my speech, women are able to lead, and we've always been able to lead.
What would you say to the other young women watching this, wanting to be a part of this next year?
I would definitely say don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. This, I have been inspired. I definitely feel like I have learned so much in just these 3 days that I will carry on for life. And don't be afraid to take up space. We belong and we need to participate to be able to represent these vulnerable women, young women that don't have the voices. And we want to open up the doors for them to have these voices in these spaces.
Very well done, everyone. Very well done.
Courtney Menzies, 7 News.
The debates lasted 6 hours and can be viewed in full on the Government Press Office YouTube page. And stay tuned. After the break, there's a major trade disruption at the northern border, and it's caused by the cartel crackdown on the Mexican side of the border. And breaking the silence, a call to action against child abuse. These stories and more when we return. Stay tuned.
Please, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
En Atlantic Bank, tu comodidad es nuestra prioridad. Nuestro centro de contacto está diseñado para mejorar tu experiencia bancaria. Con una amplia gama de opciones de servicio al cliente, ahorras tiempo y esfuerzo. Puedes llamar fácilmente para bloquear o desbloquear tus tarjetas de débito y crédito, realizar consultas de cuentas y acceder a información detallada de tus tarjetas. Ya sea que necesites asistencia con la banca en línea, apoyo para comercios o consultas generales, nuestro equipo está listo para ayudarte. Para mayor comodidad, si todos los operadores están ocupados, puedes dejar tu número y un operador te devolverá la llamada lo antes posible para asegurarse de que recibas el apoyo que necesitas. Para mayor seguridad, es posible que necesitemos verificar tu identidad con un conjunto de preguntas sencillas. Recuerda, Atlantic Bank nunca solicitará tu nombre de tu usuario ni contraseña de Atlantic Online por llamada telefónica, mensaje de texto o correo electrónico, asegurando que tu información personal permanezca segura y protegida. Nuestro equipo de apoyo está disponible de lunes a viernes, de 8 a.m. a 6 p.m. en inglés y en español. Simplemente marca al 223-1212. Esta es la línea dedicada para nuestro centro de contacto. Atlantic Bank se compromete a brindarte un servicio excepcional y las herramientas que necesitas para administrar tus finanzas de manera conveniente y segura. Aprovecha al máximo nuestro servicio del centro de contacto.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
We continue our newscast with that story about the disruption of imports at the border. Well, tonight, there is concern among importers because there's been a major disruption at the Santa Elena border in the north, and container trucks cannot cross that border. That means no trucks carrying cement, produce, or food items. They are currently crossing in either direction, creating concern over potential shortages and economic impact. It started on Wednesday when the cartel reportedly sent a new pasajero, as they are called, to regulate the tax cargo traffic crossing the border. That's after the previous pasajero reportedly met an untimely demise because he was extending too much credit. So now the new boss is there to collect the cartel's quota, and it has effectively paralyzed cargo movement since Wednesday. And we are told it will continue until at least Monday, and perhaps beyond that. In the meantime, perishable imports such as vegetables could be lost, while other importers are telling their suppliers to stand down. Government is also losing revenue because there are no cargo trucks passing through. We'll keep following this story and bring you updates. And now turning to other news, violence, abuse, and neglect against children are more prevalent in Belize than you might guess. And too often victims remain silent and behind closed doors. With a view to raise awareness and provide support to victims, the National Commission for Families and Children have partnered with UNICEF, the government of Belize, and other organizations to launch the Blue Teddy Bear campaign. It's meant to equip communities, schools, families, and the private sector partners to take informed, meaningful action to protect Belize's children. Here's how the launch went today.
These blue teddy bears are a symbol of a call to action aimed at raising awareness on child abuse in Belize and promoting stronger forms of protection for our children. The Blue Teddy Bear campaign is being spearheaded by the National Commission for Families and Children, but they have partnered with other sectors and organizations to promote their message. It's an issue the Minister of Human Development says that needs everyone's attention and commitment to protecting the rights of a child.
Every year we have over 1,000 new cases of children that come into the system and come through our ministry. Mostly they are victims of child abuse, of neglect, and we have to stem the tide. We have to really look and dig deep as a society to see what we're doing wrong, what are the causes, how we can help. But first we have to accept and admit that we have a problem. And it is a problem. It's a huge problem for our society. And that is why I lend my voice. We have a duty to our children. We have a responsibility to our children as a state and as an entire society to do better by them.
In a presentation made today by UNICEF, research shows that 62.3% of children ages 1 to 14 have experienced some form of violent disciplinary methods. This ranges between both violent and psychological aggression from their caregivers. The chairperson for NCFC underscores the importance of having these partnerships with organizations like UNICEF to shed some light on the importance of this campaign.
We need partnerships, we need a network, we need commitment of everybody. The child protection is the business for everyone in the community, at home, schools, and in every space that a child resides or a child engages in whatever type of activity they are in. So we do want the children to be appreciative and aware of all the issues that surrounds them, and when they are safe and when they are not safe, and for them to be able to express themselves, and we want them to know that their voices matter, and if there is anything to do with something that they must report, they must say it.
If someone suspects that a child is being abused or neglected, what should they do?
Well, we have the police, we have the Ministry of Human Development, we have social workers, we have NCFC, we have UNICEF. There are lots of spaces where they can go, families can go and have that type of information being relayed and to the proper authorities.
Jo Marie Lanza, 7 News.
The Commissioner of Police, Dr. Richard Rosado, was involved in a collision this afternoon in Unitedville approaching Mount Hope Hill, not far from Hot Mama's. The Commissioner's Ford Everest Titanium suffered damage to the right front end when it collided with another vehicle, which ended up on its side in a drain. When we reached out to the Compol for comment, he told us that his driver was overtaking a vehicle when it took a left turn with the apparent intention to enter a feeder road. This resulted in the collision between the two vehicles. The Compol and his driver went to the hospital for a checkup and only reports having discomfort in his shoulder. Meanwhile, $100,000 in grant funds have been awarded to the Friends for Conservation Development and Community Baboon Sanctuary, each receiving $50,000 to continue their vital conservation efforts. The funding flows from Belize's Nature Conservation Foundation grant program, currently being managed by PACT. FCD plans to utilize their funds to increase patrol systems to safeguard the Chiquibul Caverns, and the Women's Conservation Group of the community, Baboon Sanctuary, will use their funds for a public education campaign in the Belize River Valley community. Here are the highlights from the signing ceremony yesterday.
I'd like to recognize it's Women's Month. Please, women, board of directors of the community, please give them a... They are responsible for managing the community baboon sanctuary. And that's one of the major reasons we are here today, to help them with the management of the reserve with financing from Belize Nature Conservation Foundation. The purpose is to promote activities designed to conserve, maintain, or restore tropical forests in Belize, including forest lands. The beneficiaries of this forest conservation agreement is Belize Audubon Society, Program for Belize, TIDE. The Park Foundation at the time was established, and later it was changed to Belize Nature Conservation Foundation. So Belize Audubon, Program for Belize, and TIDE got funding for land management and for an endowment fund. Today, each of these organizations have a little over $2.7 million as endowment fund. And that's endowment fund that they can only use 5% of whatever the balance is at the end of the last fiscal year.
The project is to safeguard it with a high level of integrity of this system. So is it under threat? Yes, like anything else in terms of a beauty and singularity and uniqueness, it surely would have also threats. But the threats in a cave is not really inside of the cave, because people won't go there, and just loot it because it is so huge. But the problems, the threats of a cave it's above. The cutting of the trees, right? The poaching of animals, the pollution, all of these things can affect then a cave which is found under our feet. So this project that is being funded by BNCF is primarily to maintain a patrol system in place in that area there.
And turning back now to yesterday's interview with the foreign minister, we asked Francis Fonseca, as an experienced politician, if he would have counseled the Belmopan mayor and area representative for renouncing murder victim Zamar Alvarez as a non-resident. Here's what he said in detail.
Would you have counseled the area rep for Belmopan and the mayor of Belmopan to walk back their remarks and apologize when they said that Zamar Alvarez was not from Belmopana and he was an outsider.
No. Well, I didn't hear what they said, so it's very unfair to ask me to comment on what they said when I did not see their interview. I don't know what they said, so I'll reserve my comment on that. Obviously, any debt in any community, I think the leaders of that community should acknowledge that debt with dignity, and recognize that it's a loss to their community. I say that speaking in general terms, as I said, without having heard what they said in response to any question that was put to them.
We also asked Foreign Minister Fonseca about whether Belize will have to revise its entire foreign policy outlook because of U.S. aggression and dominance in this hemisphere. Here's his response.
The reassertion of the Monroe Doctrine has made it clear America runs this hemisphere. Is this a reality that we will have to shift our entire foreign policy outlook because, America is running this hemisphere like the hegemon that it is and making demands, and if you don't comply, you suffer. Do we have to shift our entire foreign policy outlook?
Well, I think, listen, the U.S. has made it very clear, as you rightly pointed out. They have made it very clear that they have a America First policy, of course, and they are very interested in the Western Hemisphere and dominance of the Western Hemisphere. They have made their position very clear. We have to be aware of that. We have fundamental principles that underpin our foreign policy that should not change and cannot change. But all of us, countries all over the world, are dealing with this. I just came back from Commonwealth meeting of foreign ministers. 56 foreign ministers were there. And everybody was scratching their heads and saying, exchanging notes, what they are dealing with in their own countries in response to the changing global environment, the changing positions of the United States of America, which is obviously the world's largest superpower. We have to deal with that. We can't hide. We can't pretend it's not there. We have to deal with it. So every day we get up and we respond to those changing circumstances, that changing context. But as I said, what's important for Belize, a small country like Belize, is that we have strong alliances. That's what we have with CARICOM. That's what we have with the Commonwealth. That's what we have with SICA. We maintain those alliances. We work through those alliances to strengthen our positions, and that we remain true to our fundamental principles.
Meanwhile, on February 9th, it was announced that former city councilor and city administrator Albert Vaughn had been named the president of NICH, a post that had been vacant for about 5 years. But Vaughn is also the chairman of Culture, Minister Francis Fonseca's Freetown constituency. And so we asked his political boss if loyalty was the first prerequisite for the job.
He was a de facto president, and now he's formally the president. How do you respond to the criticism that Albert Vaughn's main qualification for president of NICH is that he's a Freetown political officer, your most faithful and loyal servant of the many in Freetown?
Well, I'm sure that's a criticism that you would levy at him. But Albert Vaughn is a good man. He's a strong advocate for culture. He's worked here at NICH. He's been a member of the board of directors for 5 years plus. He understands how NICH works. He shares my vision for NICH. Those are issues that are important to me as the Minister of Culture. And as you all know as well, he has some administrative background. He served as the city administrator for a number of years, running the city. That's a very important responsibility. So I think he is qualified to serve as the president of Niche. Call him my friend as well, as you said, and my supporter. He works with me. He's the chairman of the Freetown constituency. But we have a good team. It's not just about him. We have a good board of directors. I have my advisor Yasser Musa, who works with me on a daily basis. I have made sure that Albert and Yasser work very closely together. I feel that Niche is in very, very good hands, and we're doing a lot of important work. So I hope that we can count on your support.
The budget debate begins on Monday and goes until Wednesday. The Prime Minister says that his ministers are ready. Here's more.
Well, I do expect that every minister will be able to stand up and speak about the work that they're doing within their ministries. And of course, if the opposition were to say something that they're twisting the truths of their work, obviously they have to counter and to answer back. But I do expect that it's a wonderful opportunity for them to highlight the tremendous work that we do, be it in agriculture, be it in the economy, be it in health, education, be it we work with our BDF and our soldiers, our police officers. There's so much work that we're doing, infrastructure development. These projects transform lives, make their lives so much easier. And the expansion of electricity, doing tremendous work that has a direct impact in the lives of our people.
And finally tonight, Belize still does not have a new ombudsman since Major Gilbert Suazo's contract was not renewed. But the Prime Minister says that pretty soon that spot will be filled. Here's more.
Right now we have a House committee that works on that, and they're working on in terms of reference. Pretty soon it's going to be advertised, and once it's advertised, we're going to see who will apply for the job.
And that's all we have for you on 7 News on this Friday night. Thank you so much for watching. I am Miriam Abdul-Kawi. You can find a full transcript of the news at 7newsbelize.com or see the streaming video on our Facebook page. Have a good night and a great weekend, and join Inder Craig back here on Monday. Have a good night, folks.